afternoon and welcome to Camp Dunnabeck's virtual open house. My name is Yvonne Schutz and I'll be your host today. 2 months ago, it was inconceivable that we would be working remotely to bring you an open house. So thank you for joining us and giving us this opportunity. I've been with the Kildonan organization for the past 25 years, assisting the administration. This will be my 5th year working with Camp Dunnabeck. I've had the pleasure of speaking with most of the 20 families that have joined us here today. So without further ado, I'm privileged to introduce to you our panel of camp staff who will tell you more about themselves and the camp program. First, there's Karl Oppenheimer. He's the senior camp director. Next, there's Sean Andrews, our camp director. Chris Ross is our assistant camp director. Kathleen Stewart is our Orton Gillingham Fellow of Record. Sherry Dwyer is our Director of Language Training. Jenna Amato is our Director of Health Services. Gail Berger is our Business Office Manager, Dorm Parent, and Camp Office Assistant. Ethan Ruben is our camp counselor. He's also a mountain biking director. Mckenna Morgan is our camp counselor. First, let's hear from our senior camp director, Karl Oppenheimer.
Good afternoon. My name is Karl Oppenheimer. I'm Senior Director of Camp Dunnabeck, and I'm happy to greet you as we prepare for our 65th year of camp. I'm proud to have been part of 29 of those years, give or take a few. I'm a graduate of the Kildonan School, and after graduating from college, I served in many roles there, including tutor, teacher, coach, dorm head, and dean of students. Dunnabeck began in 1955 in Farmington, Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. Diana King, our founder, taught for several years at the Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C., where she met Anna Gillingham. She spent summers tutoring at Margaret Rawson's Camp Mansfield in New Hampshire. When Mansfield closed, she pledged to herself that if she ever had the money, she would open a camp of her own for kids with dyslexia. The money presented itself, and Diana kept true to her pledge. That first summer, with 7 students, Diana did all the tutoring herself and hired a staff of counselors to take the kids on adventures that included spelunking, hiking, rock climbing, swimming, and of course, horseback riding. Diana did the grocery shopping herself each afternoon, and the staff rotated each day to pick up and drive home the cook. In succeeding years, Diana trained tutors in the Orton-Gillingham approach, and the camp grew to have up to 60 or more campers and a full complement of tutors and counselors. The unique combination of fun, active, traditional summer camp activities and daily one-on-one Orton-Gillingham tutorials made Dunnabeck the premier summer program for kids with dyslexia. In 1969, a conversation with the parent of a camper led to the opening of the Kildonan School, a school year program that incorporated the same one-on-one tutoring that Diana had perfected at Dunnabeck. Kildonan opened on a rented campus in Bucks County, PA, and Dunnabeck continued in Farmington. When Kildonan outgrew the Pennsylvania campus in 1980, both programs were merged to one location in Amenia, New York, which served as home for both programs until 2019. Before long, Dunnabeck and Kildonan became as well known for teaching kids as for training teachers. Springing forward on that reputation, the Kildonan Teacher Training Institute opened in 2003 and is internationally known and credited with creating many Orton-Gillingham experts, at least 2 of whom are here with us today. Sadly, the Kildonan School closed in June of 2019, but KTTI will continue to train teachers, and Dunnabeck will continue its mission to combine vital learning with confidence-building fun activities. Daily one-on-one tutoring remains the pinnacle of the program, and all of our tutors are expertly trained. A fellow and certified level clinical supervisor of the Orton-Gillingham Academy supervised them through the summer. A staff of energetic counselors from the States and overseas supervise our campers day and night. They bring energy, intrigue, and most importantly, help to make sure every camper has a safe, fun experience at camp. We no longer have to do our own shopping, and no one has to pick up the cook anymore. But Diana's core ideals and mission continue at our new location on the campus of the Marvelwood School in Kent, Connecticut. 2 important people who make all the magic happen for us are Sean and Chris. Sean Andrews is camp director. He worked at Kildonan for 5 years, tutoring and developing the assistive technology program. He's beginning his 7th year at Dunnabeck and his 2nd year as director. A classic Dunnabeck and Kildonan success story, Christopher Ross was a camper at Dunnabeck and then a student at Kildonan. I missed him by a year, but I did attend Kildonan with his brother John. This is Christopher's 2nd year as a staff member. Last summer, in addition to his role in the woodshop, he served as boys' dorm head. This year, I am pleased to have him here as assistant director. Thank you. Sean will take it from here.
All right. Thank you, Karl. Hi, everyone. My name's Sean Andrews, and I'm the camp director at Camp Dunnabeck. As Karl mentioned, this is my 7th year at Dunnabeck, and I've worked at Kildonan for 5. And both Dunnabeck and Kildonan, I worked as a language tutor as well as the assistive technology coordinator. Through these experiences, I've learned that teaching requires remediating deficiencies, but also finding ways to personalize learning to support how a student learns best. Some of my many other hats also included tennis and snowboard coach, college and test prep teacher, study hall proctor, dorm supervisor, trip leader. And living on campus of a boarding school and camp for so long, I've been immersed in dyslexic culture. And I have to say, it's been a pleasure to work with these amazing students and campers throughout the year. Though I've never been formally diagnosed with dyslexia, I have found many ways that I relate to how the dyslexic mind thinks. Teaching students with dyslexia isn't just about remediation, but encouraging and celebrating their strengths. And Dunnabeck is able to accomplish this beautifully. It's evident when you see the talent that comes out of activities such as music, art, filmmaking, woodworking, drama, sports, and watching the improvements they make in tutoring. It's mind-blowing. This is why I continue to come back year after year, because it is how we should approach teaching. Student-centered, not just through assessment, but through creative passion. Every student is different, but the natural creativity, hands-on abilities, and outside-the-box thinking for these kids, it's undeniable. Working here has inspired me to continue to focus on how we can leverage technologies to support students with dyslexia. I even published my master's thesis on using digital resources to teach students with dyslexia, and currently I am the educational technologist at a private K-12 school in Brooklyn and continue to focus on ways to support the LD community. Dunnabeck has been around for 65 years for a reason, and it continues to make a lifelong impact on its campers. I've seen many campers come ashamed of their dyslexia, and despite their hardships, it is truly inspirational to see the community here support and encourage each other to embrace and even celebrate their dyslexia, as they should. And last year, I was moved almost to tears when, at the last day of camp, all the campers started chanting, "I'm dyslexic, bump, 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 bump," over and over and over again. And then they finished and all said in unison, "and proud of it." So I'm really grateful for everything these campers and students have taught me, because there's a magic that happens at Dunnabeck, and I'm privileged to be part of it, and I welcome you all to join the family. So now I'll turn it over to Christopher Ross, our Assistant Camp Director. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Christopher Ross, Assistant Camp Director. Yes, I have the honor to say I was a Dunnabeck camper for many summers. I learned to horseback ride, water ski, and make pottery at camp. I was raised in an artistic, creative dyslexia family. My older brother Jonathan came to camp not able to read at age 12. Diana King, our founder, was his tutor. She always tutored the most dyslexic students. By the end of the summer, Jonathan was reading Roald Dahl, The Champion of the World. Being a father of 2 dyslexic kids, I especially feel connected to all the parents making this decision. The other day, my son David, for the first time, said to me, "Dad, I wish I wasn't dyslexic." I asked him why. He said, "Because I want to read like the other kids." Of course, this made me sad. With schools being closed this spring, we especially need the summer camp to happen. At Dunnabeck, the campers work so hard with their tutors and in study hall, reading, writing, and spelling. But the rest of the day is to be rewarding, with fun activities for the campers to excel at what they're good at. This was Dinah King's idea, and she helped teach us to be proud of being dyslexic. She even named all the buildings after famous dyslexics at Kildonan: Einstein, Da Vinci, Edison, to name a few. My role at camp will be the head of the boys' dorm, woodshop instructor, mountain bike assistant, and the van driver to the fun field trips. I'm one of the camp dads here for your children. My son David is so excited for camp to happen again. What I learned last summer is that no matter the age, everyone needs to go to summer camp again. I look forward to meeting all of you in person this summer, and thank you. And now I would like to introduce our Camp Fellow of Records, Kathleen Stewart.
Thanks, Chris. Welcome. On behalf of all the Orton Gillingham practitioners who are ready to work with your children this summer, I want to thank you for joining us. My name is Kathleen, and as Fellow of Record, I work hard to make sure that all the tutoring which the children receive fully meets the rigorous standards of the Orton Gillingham Academy. I've been part of Kildonan since 2005, but the magic of Dunnabeck is still pretty new to me, as this will be my second summer. What I'm learning is that summer is a powerful time to teach kids to read and write better. And that's because there are no competing demands. There is no social studies class or homework from math, so we can focus solely on critical reading and writing. The fun and the work seem to mix together in a powerful soup, and it's productive. Here's what happens on the educational side. As Karl mentioned, every child receives 1 hour, one-to-one Orton Gillingham tutoring every day, 5 days a week. The critical thing to understand about Orton Gillingham is that it's not a scripted program at all. There is no teacher's manual which lays out the order of things your child will learn. That means that we can work with splintered skill sets to fill in gaps. So your child might be learning individual sound units in English, while at the same time they're working on Latin and Greek word parts, which will explode their vocabulary, while at the same time they may be learning how to structure an expanded paragraph. We can move them forward quickly because we're not spending a minute teaching them things they already know. And it's gratifying. Personality matters too, so we put heart and soul into making the matches with the tutor and the student. We have tutors, many of whom return year after year because they enjoy the professional learning community and because they find it so gratifying to move kids forward in their skills, in their reading and writing. I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Sherry Dwyer, who serves as Director of Language Training. Sherry?
Thank you, Kathleen. Hello, everyone. I am so pleased and excited about being part of Camp Dunnabeck as it celebrates its 65th year. I started working at Kildonan 20 years ago, and so I worked there for 20 years, and I've worked at Dunnabeck for 4 years, and it's been an amazing journey. As the Director of Language Training for Camp Dunnabeck, I oversee the tutoring part of the program. I review each student's academic profile, and then I match them with an OG tutor and monitor their progress via weekly reports. Each day, Monday through Friday, each camper meets with their tutor and gets one-on-one instruction on the skills that they need to be successful with making progression with their language skills. And then at another point in that day, they complete independent assignments that their tutor has assigned to them, specifically to help them reinforce the skills that they're learning in their tutoring session. These study halls are an integral part of the program because it teaches the kids executive functioning skills, task initiation, focusing, thinking about what they're doing, becoming independent. And they're proud of the work that they do because they can see that they're making progress. So the combination of the study hall and the tutoring is one of the things that makes the program successful. But the other thing is all the activities that I have never, over the 4 years that I've been there, I've just been amazed at how confident the students become because they are learning new skills both in their tutoring and outside with the archery or the horseback riding or swimming or whatever. And the support of the counselors, the creativity, the dedication of the tutors, everyone working together is what makes the camp successful. As the testing coordinator for both the Kildonan School and Camp Dunnabeck, I can categorically say that the students who attended Camp Dunnabeck had a stronger academic start at school in September than students that didn't get tutoring over the summer. It's a known fact that most students, dyslexic or not, experience regression over the summer, and in the fall they spend a lot of time reviewing. But by coming to Camp Dunnabeck and getting that tutoring, not only are they catching up on skills that they may be lagging behind on, they don't have that regression in the fall and they're able to start strong. So I am pleased and proud to be part of Dunnabeck. I'm grateful to our founder, Diana King, for her vision and dedication in keeping this program, getting it started, and I am excited about keeping it going. So now I'd like to turn this over to Nurse Jen Amato, who can speak to you about our health services.
Welcome, campers and family. My name is Jennifer Amato, and I'm the health director for Camp Dunnabeck. This will be my 6th camp, and prior to that, I was the Kildonan school nurse for 5 years. Health and safety are our #1 priority at camp. The health center maintains 24/7 nursing staff, as well as CPR, AED, first aid trained support staff. To ensure your campers' enjoyment and success this summer, it is important that you inform us of any allergies, health, diet, personal habits, or any issue as soon as you can. All disclosures are kept in professional confidence. Such information is crucial to enable our staff to assign, train, and supervise our counselors to best serve the needs of your camper. All campers are required to have a valid physical exam and proof of immunization. In order for your camper to be admitted to the camp, you must provide this written documentation. If your child requires medication or if you have any other concerns, please contact me via email at your earliest convenience. We look forward to seeing you this summer. And now I hand it over to Gail.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, my name is Gail Berger, and I've worked in the business office at Kildonan for the last 9 years. I've also had the pleasure of being the girls' dorm head at Camp Dunnabeck for the last 4 years. This year, you'll be seeing me in the camp office as well as head of the girls' dorm. I can't wait to meet everyone, and I hope to see you all at camp. Now I'm going to send it over to Ethan, one of our camp counselors.
Hello everyone, my name's Ethan. I am a camp counselor at Dunnabeck. This is my second year as being a counselor with Dunnabeck. Prior to that, I attended the Kildonan School for 3 years. I am also the mountain biking instructor. I have taught mountain biking for about 3 years and have raced competitively for 4. I hope to see you all this summer, and I'm very excited to get that all started. I'm going to turn it over to Mckenna, another camp counselor.
Hi, my name is Mckenna Morgan. I went to Kildonan for 4 years and Camp Dunnabeck for 2 years. I had a great experience at Kildonan. I continued my love for American Sign Language, and I worked with younger kids for my community service work because I love working with children. I learned how to advocate for myself, gained my confidence back, and made lifelong friends. I realized that I was very smart and I just needed to be taught in a different way. There are so many strategies out there. I also joined a great community that will always be like family. I had a great experience at Dunnabeck too. I was able to go outside my comfort zone and experience new things. I realized that learning can be fun and not a hassle. I think both the school and the camp are great, and your child or children will definitely benefit from the camp. The one-on-one tutoring is so helpful, I can't stress that enough. It gives the child an opportunity to grow in a very special way, and since it's one-on-one, the child doesn't feel the pressure to get the answer first. Now as a counselor, I'm able to understand both perspectives since I attended the camp myself. I can relate to the kids because I was once a camper and I can help them through the times when they're missing home. Within a short time, I adjusted and loved Dunnabeck, just like your kids will. I really enjoyed working with the kids. It was always nice to see their smiling faces every morning and how excited they were to see you. Last year, I checked in all the campers in the morning and they would come running down the hill and give you a hug. I am so grateful for everything Kildonan and Dunnabeck has done for me and the tools they have given me to help me with things like reading and writing. For example, I remember when I was working on vocab, my tutor had me write down the words I was learning at the time. I wrote them down each 5 times. I had flashcards with definitions on them and played games that were created for suffixes to understand and comprehend them better. If your child or children attends camp, they will have a great time. They will gain confidence back and feel better about learning. I am now finishing my 2nd semester of freshman year at Assumption College. Now back to Ms. Schutz.
Thank you, Mckenna, and thank you to our panel of camp staff. I'm pleased to present now our virtual open house tour. So during the tour, if you have any questions, you can post them right here and we'll answer them at the conclusion. Thank you. Hello and welcome to Camp Dunnabeck's virtual open house tour here on the beautiful campus of the Marvelwood School. My name is Yvonne Schutz and I'm going to take you there. Come on. This is our first stop. This is Sunk House, and it is home to the administrative offices. Right this way is the entrance to the camp office. Right this way. The main schoolhouse. This will be your drop-off location for your campers, if you're a day camper. Let's go down and check it out. Here we are at the patio at the schoolhouse. Kids will come down here to have their attendance taken before they begin their day. This is the front entrance into the schoolhouse. There's an east and a west side to the schoolhouse. We will go into the east end right this way. Going into the library, which Camp Dunnabeck will use as their multi-purpose room. Plenty of time to sit around, relax, and read a good book. Beyond the stage here, in the multi-purpose room, it's a beautiful vista and a lovely seating and picnic area. This room will go down this corridor to some classrooms and the tutoring wing. Our tutoring wing down this way. A nice place to sit and wait for your tutor. Or here, or here. Here's one of the tutoring hallways into multiple tutoring rooms. Now we'll go up to the west wing of the schoolhouse. Here is the camp director's office. The director's office overlooks the schoolhouse patio. I'm here with one of my friends in our science and nature lab. Let's go to the athletic center. Here we are at the athletic center. Let's go into the gym. Basketball, anyone? Welcome to Lake Dorm, right this way. Here is the convenience area for the dorms. Here we are in the dining hall. Chef Paul of Sage Dining Services will be providing meals for us this summer.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Open it up for questions now.
Hi, this is Eva. I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
One is, what's the swimming situation and horseback riding situation this summer? And of course, obviously the question that's on everybody's mind, I'm sure, is how likely is it that the camp will open? What is the COVID-19 situation as far as how you're planning to handle that? My daughter had a wonderful time last summer. I encourage any new parents to send their kids. It's a fabulous program. She gained a lot of confidence. She got her homework packet done, and she learned, and she, really was ready to start school in the fall. So I'm very grateful to Dunnabeck, and I'm so glad if you guys are able to pull opening up. So can you just update us on that?
Hand that over to Karl.
Yeah. So I'll start with swimming. There are 2 venues that we're looking at. Well, it's more than looking at. So a couple days a week, we will, I believe, be at the same venue as last year at Maplebrook. And mostly for instructional swimming. And then there's another location nearby, which is an outdoor water area. And so a couple days a week we'll be going there. Obviously, it's going to be weather permitting, but we do still plan to have the swimming program. Actually, it's quite a priority.
Program?
We will we'll still have swimming. I thought was there another question within that while I was talking?
Horseback riding program.
Yes, and the same with the horseback riding. The horseback riding will happen just down the road from school, so we'll still do that. That is another sort of pinnacle program at Dunnabeck. And, so we wouldn't think of not having it.
Thank you.
Now, in terms of COVID, this is a more complicated answer. Let me start by sharing that there are some things that I can't control, and there are some things I can control. So things I can't control are things like, what the government decides is we are allowed to do. If the government decides to extend restrictions, like gatherings of more than a certain amount of people, that affects our ability to run camp. If the government decides that schools and camps cannot operate, obviously I'm not in control of that. What I can control is how we, if those other restrictions are not keeping us from opening, what I can control is the fact that, we have a staff who is going to be extremely aware of the guidelines that we need to follow. We have, in fact, posted on our website the guidelines that we are going to follow in terms of, the daily routines for our kids and staff to keep everyone safe and healthy. So, those are the things that will sort of guide us as we move forward. And in terms of, I could say, oh well, we'll look at this again on such and such a date, but others are, governments, state officials are all doing the same thing. So right now, what we are planning to open. And so we are setting up all our plans and arrangements as if we're opening. And I think the best I can tell you is that, unless something changes in terms of the availability of our location, then we will be seeing you at camp.
Hi, I just wanted to interject there. The town park that we will be swimming at is called Emery Park. It's in Kent, Connecticut. It's lovely. It has a lovely play area, and it also has a slide right into the water. And I can post some pictures on our Facebook page just to share that with you, okay? And maybe Gail, I'll hand it over to you if you want to talk a little bit about the riding program that we're going to be going to.
Yvonne,
Yeah.
can I just interject once, Gail? Can I just interject one more thing?
Sure.
I also want to put right out on the table that if one of those things that I can't control does happen, like we're not able to open because the authorities have determined that we can't use the facility, there would be a full refund of deposits and tuition. If camp closes because of, if camp does not open because of COVID-19, we would refund the deposits and tuition. So I don't want anyone to hold back because they're worried about that.
Hey, Karl, I have a quick follow-up question to that. It's Lisa Gillis. If you were able to do that, does Marvelwood let you out of your responsibility to them for the summer? Because that could really, deposits, another camp I spoke to is not giving back deposits. They're asking if parents will donate them just to keep the operation running for next year. So I would just love to know what safety net is in place for the camp that way.
Well, so at this point, that is not the direction we're going. We're offering full refunds of both. If somebody wants to be generous in that way, that's great. That's not where we are headed at this point. There are certain obligations we do have to Marvelwood, and that's something I'll get into with Marvelwood. But there are other, we are working on some contingency plans in terms of what kind of services we could still offer. Those are still developing,
Okay, thank you. No, thanks very much. I was just curious. Thank you.
Sure.
As far as the horseback riding, we've been in contact with the stable down the street in Kent, and it's not too far of a drive. It's right down the bottom of the hill, probably maybe 4 to 5 miles tops. And I believe it'll be every day, once a day. All the kids will be bused down there or in a van, and the kids will learn everything as far as how to tack up a horse, how to ride a horse, how to groom a horse, top to bottom. So it's a great, great program for the kids to learn all about horseback riding. And they really, really do enjoy it. It's one of my favorite things to do in life. So I have a great passion for it. So I'm usually there with the kids, hanging out with them, teaching them, just trying to, give them some good confidence, because it's amazing what a horse can do for your confidence too.
So I saw, David, you had your hand up, but I want to just talk, there were some questions in the chat here. I just want to answer quickly. So Daisley had asked, how much choice does a camper have in what activity he does or she does? They have a lot of choice. So basically what we'll do is in a little bit, we'll provide an activities list of proposed activities, and they'll sign up and just number any of them that they're interested in with their top number 1, 2, 3, 4, and on down as I'd say at least 5 choices, just so we have some backups. And we do pretty well at getting them their top choices, but that's not guaranteed. And then there are some activities that may change based on, how much interest there is. And then there's also been times where, students have requested something that we've been able to, start halfway through. Might be a little different this year, but so I don't want to promise exactly that, but yeah, they have a lot of opportunities as far as that goes for what they do. And we really try and make sure that they get their top ones the best we can. And then there was another question from Kim. Are the kids grouped by age, or what is the ratio of kids to counselors? So yes, they are. We've got 3 groups, and each group is divided into the boys and girls. We've got juniors, which are, I believe 8 through 11, and then middlers, which are 12 through 14, and then the senior group, which goes up until 16. Correct me if I'm wrong with that. I believe that those are the ages. And then, and let's see, what is the ratio? So basically the ratio of, we have typically, depends on, again, how big the groups are, but usually there's a ratio of about 1 counselor to every, I think I'd say each group, so would have at least, the ratio tends to be about 1 to 5, but sometimes it's a greater ratio. So sometimes, like, as far as they're very small, intimate groups, and so, but I'd say that would be about the average. Each group would have about 2 to 3 counselors, depending, maybe more, depending on how many kids we get. So David, did you want to ask your question now?
Oh, I was just going to jump in. I work for Marvelwood, and there was a question earlier about the relationship between Camp Dunnabeck and Marvelwood, and concerns over COVID-19 and the possibility of not having camp. And all I really wanted to say is we're fully committed to Camp Dunnabeck and Kildonan, and we understand if things happen, and we're not going to hold your feet to the fire. So we want this to be as successful as you do. So I'm not as concerned about that right now, and we're all hopeful that this will go forward.
Great.
Thank you so much, David. And I do want to say that, first of all, I really appreciate the way that Marvelwood has been working with us very closely. It's been a very sort of smooth relationship, and they are just as committed to making this work as we are. So I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah, and I'm very happy with the facilities too. I mean, it's really, it seems like, I think everything looks like they're gonna, with the new changes and everything, I'm just really happy with the facilities that we're able to work with, and we really appreciate all their help. Is there any other questions?
This is my daughter, Shane. I think she had a question, because we would be new to Camp Dunnabeck this year, so this is all very new to us. But so we actually probably both have a question or two, but I'll let her go first. This is Shayna. She's 10, and she would be turning 11 in the summer while at camp. But go ahead.
So like, what is like the lunch like, and like the food like breakfast, the dinner, and all that stuff? What's the food?
The food is pretty good. We had an opportunity to experience it at the last open house, and their facility is very nice. Not only is the food good, but it's a comfortable place to sit down and eat.
Ethan is a student there, and perhaps Ethan can shed some light on the food.
Oh. Why, yes. So the Sage Dining is the service that the camp and the Marvelwood School both use. They are very professional, and they have a very nice variety, and the food tastes great. So you don't really have anything to worry about there.
You want to tell them?
You want to talk about the food?
Yeah. Do they have like vegetarian meals as well? My kids are vegetarians. I don't know if you have.
Yep. So every meal has a vegetarian vegan option, along with a fully stocked salad bar.
Yeah, and talking to the staff there, they're really committed to, they take like allergies extremely seriously, and they're really committed to making sure that, each student's eating healthy, and it's, individualized based on, what they need.
Great.
And Sam, for anybody else who has any kind of dietary needs, if they could let the health office know, because what I end up doing is I share it with the kitchen staff. This way we can be in communication, if somebody has an allergy to some kind of food or dyes, or if they just have preferences, if they're gluten-free, dairy-free, anything like that, to just let the health office know as well, and then I can share it with the kitchen staff.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to cycle back to another question that came up related to COVID-19. And the question was, if authorities don't let camp open, do you think, are we thinking about online camp? So yes, we have, that's what I was alluding to when I spoke earlier, that we are looking into other options if we're not able to run a physical camp. Online tutoring is not something that we are a stranger to, and Sean is particularly familiar with it. It's one of the things that he has been spearheading. So yes, that would be a possibility, and we are working on what that would look like.
Yeah, and if I could just follow up on that real quick. So, as Karl said, my focus is on learning and emerging technologies. Currently as an educational technologist, our school has been, forced into distance learning now. So, and there's about a third of the students with LD at the school I work at, about 400 students, 100 teachers. And so, I'm here, we're really working through the kinks to make sure that, that we're providing quality online services. So all of this I see as, a litmus test for if that were to happen. Obviously, I think, the real magic of camp happens when you're able to get that whole mesh of the activities and being together and the tutoring. But, I think we're going to make the most of whatever situation we have. So I just want to, just let you know that, I will stay committed regardless to make sure that they're provided with quality services.
I would also like to add something to this conversation. Everybody who's in this group meeting, we are committed to make Camp Dunnabeck happen this summer. And we need the families that are interested in coming to Camp Dunnabeck to not be afraid to fill out your application and to enroll, and let us know that we have you as campers. And as long as the government doesn't shut us down, we are planning to open Camp Dunnabeck. But we need campers as well. So if everybody's sitting on the fence and saying, I don't know if I want to commit because we don't know what the future is, you're going to get your money back if it gets shut down. But I want to, I am 100% excited, and I think a lot can happen in 2 months. We really almost like 2 months until it would actually open. So, I just don't be shy to fill out your application.
Just one more question. Hey, it's Lisa Gillis again. Is there any discussion with the CDC or any statements from them on whether or not they would just allow day camp? Because that might be, is that like a hybrid between the two options at this point? That where they wouldn't allow sleepaway camps, but they would allow just day camp?
I don't think they would make a distinction because okay. The issue, frankly, in a dorm, it's easier to
quarantine
distance people or quarantine. The greater concern is when they're out in activities, around camp, on campus and off campus. So, so I don't think there would be a distinction.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'd like to interject one thing real quick. I have 2 questions from the chat. The first one, is it possible to receive a list of fellow day campers who live near the Hopewell junction of NY for communicating? I mean, not communicating, carpooling.
Yvonne, I'm going to let you take that.
Yes. Once we're closer to camp and I have a good feel for our population, I can look in your area, and then I can ask those people if they would be interested in carpooling. So I wouldn't be able to directly share their information because their information is private, but I would be able to kind of hook you up, and once they agree to it, then I can certainly share your information together, which we've successfully done in the past.
And I have one more from the chat. and it's regarding staff members. They want to know, are staffs and or employees given any sort of background check so that parents can feel safe sending their kids to camp?
Yes, every staff member undergoes a background check.
Yeah.
3 recommendations as well that we all follow up on.
Right. Whether they're here for the day, overnight, or the ones that come from overseas, they all go through a background check process.
Yeah, and I have to say, a lot of our staff is also staff that comes back year after year, and so we really have a lot of familiar faces that we work with, and a lot of really great professionals that really know what they're doing.
And the kids are supervised. They're supervised. They're with an adult during the day. There are counselors that are with them during the day. There's adults that are with them during the day. Same thing at night when they're in the dorms. The boys and the girls dorms are separate. So they're together during the day, but at night they go their separate ways and they have their own separate dorms. So they are supervised all the time. So
yeah, and I can take the next question too about what kind of integration is there between younger campers and the older campers. And so, it's a fairly smaller camp. So I think there is, they definitely have their own groups, and within the activities, we try to keep them within those groups. However, there's also other, times where they're doing dorm activities and they're doing, going to the swimming pool or things where, they do get to sort of, interact with the older campers as well. And I think it's really great because I see a lot of like mentoring that ends up happening, and, kids who've been through it before and really kind of taking the younger kids under their wings. And so, I think there's, like I said, we try to keep them with their own age for most of the activities, but there's definitely some overlap and that happens. And we really are, a tight-knit family.
Sean, if I could just say something as well, just on the idea of safety. My name is Jim Tinger, by the way. Hi, everybody. I'm the archery instructor. And I've been the archery instructor for about 20 years. And, I will say that our main thing with archery has always been, the primary function, of course, is safety. We get a lot of questions sometimes because we are shooting arrows, and it is, it is part of the sport. But over the past 20 years, I think we've come up with a good compilation of games and activities that are not only safe, but really entertaining, that will kind of last throughout the weeks. My main job is as a social worker here in New Paltz, and so handling conflicts and handling issues between kids is is a primary function of mine throughout my day normally. So just throughout camp, when things do come up, I feel like we're I feel comfortable handling things like that. And the reason why I think I keep on coming back for the past 20 years is because it's such a great, supportive, wonderful environment. Kildonan and Dunnabeck has been, and I'm not associated with the school whatsoever, but I'm willing to travel that far because I just think it's such a wonderful atmosphere. I see the way that the staff has handled kids throughout the years. I see the way that the school works with the kids, and and just from my role on the periphery and just being able to witness and observe and see how everybody kind of handles things. Karl's been there forever. Sean's been there for a little bit. The rest of the staff has been there for a long time. And it's always been very impressive, enough for me to want to be able to come back every year. And I think it's a wonderful environment. I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents with that.
Yeah, and I'd like to pick up from where Jim left off. For most of us, we come because we want to. I was the Kildonan school nurse for 5 years, and this is going to be my 6th camp. And so for me, it would just kind of roll into it. But, now unfortunately Kildonan is no longer, but I made it, within my personal life, now that I'm working elsewhere, I said, no, I have camp this summer. Like I need to be there. I want to be there. I want to, because I really do enjoy camp a lot. I've said that time and time again, but I think that's the big thing. It's not even so much that we do it because we have to, we do it because we want to be there for the kids.
Jen and Jim, there's another question. How do we handle the transitions for first-time junior campers? And I think, like as they just mentioned, we really care at the camp. So, I think the transitions, whether it's a first-time camper or someone coming back, we really want to take into consideration, how they feel and, what they're, coming in. A lot of times, again, there's the students that come in, they're sort of ashamed of being dyslexic, and really just making sure, and I see like the other campers and the counselors, they're there for each other. And they're, if there's an issue that comes up, it's brought to the directors too, just so we can all be aware and be sensitive to the students, our campers' needs. And so that's something I think is really important. We've got, I see David up there with Chris, that he was a first-time camper last year too. I mean, I don't know if you want, David, you want to say how it went for you?
David?
How was last year been your first year at camp? What did you think?
In the beginning, I was sort of shy, but in the end, like, I felt like I didn't even want to leave. Like, I wanted to stay there my whole life.
Yeah, and I think were you the youngest camper there too?
In the boys' dorm for the night, yeah.
Yeah. But you made lots of friends with the older campers too, right? And everyone else?
Yeah.
We also have another parent here, Jason Woodcock, whose daughter came to camp last year. Maybe he can give us some feedback on first-time parent and camper.
Sure. Eve, come here. So my daughter Eve attended a day camp at Dunnabeck for 2 years now, and I can only echo everything that everyone else is saying, how amazing the one-on-one instruction is, as well as the activities and such. One of the other girls and some of the students here are asking about camp. Do you want to talk about camp a little bit and your experience with it?
Yeah.
Look into the camera. Do you want to talk about tutoring? How was tutoring?
Oh, yeah. I once went to a tutoring in camp. I remember my tutor was like the only tutor that just tutored one person, because like last year she only had me in her tutoring session, and then the other year before she had like tons and tons of people, and I guess that tutoring was really fun, just one-on-one with her. From last year, I just really enjoyed it.
You want to talk about study hall?
And then I really liked study hall, but like they used to do it for like an hour. I was like, oh gosh, an hour is too much. I just had to only study for like a half an hour. So like the other part of that hour, I really don't remember, but I think I just spent a half an hour and then I like maybe left. I don't know what I did. But,
yeah. Right.
Did photography.
Yeah, she did photography,
yeah, I did photography
and dance. And what did you do the first year? Horseback riding, art, music, drumming. And as a parent, it's amazing the transition and the transformation that occurs during the 6-week camp. You don't realize, as an educator, my wife is an educator, we know about the slump over the summer, but especially with our daughter and those with LD, it's even deeper slump. So much to the chagrin of some of the folks at Kildonan, my daughter did go to Kildonan as well. She actually did attend summer camp. Some people would say that they wanted to give her a break. And we were kind of saying, no. We need a break. So she's going to go to camp. She's going to be in camp anyway. So why not make it educational? So it was wonderful for her. And I know the question was more about the integration between full-time and day camper. She was a day camper and she was right there alongside everyone else. There is a transition in the afternoons where folks head out. But the day campers are still considered part of the entire camp. It's not like those guys over there and those guys go over that way. It is, very, very, very much integrated. All the activities that occur during the day are with both, day and those that stay over as well. So it's really good. She was going to tell you about how good the food was as well, because that was really key to her as well, was the food. So, and as it were, by the way, the drumming lessons she took last year, she is now doing them with her instructor through Zoom now that we can't be in person. So her relationships with other campers are just the beginning. She actually does have relationships outside of that as well.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, and the integration between those day campers and the full-time campers, as Molly had asked, they're there for lunch together. They're there in the activities. Typically, you know, when we're going off, they're still with us when we're going off to go swimming. So there's so many opportunities for them to you know, all be together. And then, yeah, there's one time, the time where of day where the, you know, day campers leave, and then usually they go up to the dorms and have the evening activities. So, you know, there's that little bit, but, you know, for the rest of the day, they're, you know, really are, you know, we're all working together. There was another question. Karl, do you want to maybe take on, just explain what the weekends are like?
Sure. So on weekends, the kids will go on trips throughout New England and parts of New York. There's one weekend where everyone will go on a camp out, you know, camping in a tent in the woods. I should also say, in comparison, that, you know, where they're living on campus, unlike some camps, you know, they are not in a tent or a cabin in the woods. They are in the woods, but they'll stay in modern dormitories. But for one weekend, we want them to experience, you know, what it's like to go camping. So each group will have a camping trip during the summer. We'll do trips to amusement parks. We'll do hiking trips. We'll do, you know, trips to, you know, various local and further away destinations. Often there's you know, they'll go on trips both days of the weekend. One day might be a really big trip. The other day might be a little bit, you know, less of an excursion. You know, sometimes it's hard to do 2 big trips in a row. Sometimes we need a rest. You know, not we, but the kids. And then we also like to, you know, keep some variety in. So, you know, if they're doing an amusement park one day, you know, the other day might be hiking through the woods. You know, we don't want to overdo the sort of technological world stuff. Sometimes we'll go, in Armenia, there's a theater that has that have a drive-in movie theater, and that is often a fun experience for the kids. So we do, you know, do some of that. And there's also, for the older kids, the senior group usually does a rafting trip at some point each summer. They'll raft on the Deerfield River in Massachusetts, and that's an overnight trip as well. They would go up, do the rafting, and then stay over. We happen to have an alumnus of Kildonan who has a house right by the river where they go rafting. And usually that family has always been happy to have us set up some tents on their property. They even have a little shelter if it's raining. So it's a nice trip. And you know, the kids tend to talk a lot about it afterwards.
I just wanted to interject about trips and weekend trips and how we integrate day campers into full campers. So we post, which you'll be invited to, on the parent portal on our website. We post all our trips, all our meals, everything we do is posted on that portal. So you'll have a bird's eye view into what your camper is doing at camp. If there's ever a trip that your day camper would like to join, we would more than welcome them. And there would be 2 caveats. One would be that there's room on the bus to transport them, and the other one would be the cost of the trip. So you should never feel that, oh, well, they're going on a really exciting trip this weekend and you're a day camper and you can't go, but you can.
Absolutely.
I think there's a question from Molly about tutoring, and she was asking about the SPIRE program. SPIRE program is excellent. It was developed also by a fellow in the academy, and it's wonderful. It is a very structured sequence and a scope, so it's a set order. It's very effective. I recommend it for public schools who are trying to work with a large group of children, and that will certainly serve your child well as they, you know, transition into the one-to-one Orton Gillingham. But the difference and the advantage that they'll have in the summer at Dunnabeck is that there is no set sequence. So we're going to assess, see exactly what the skills are, what the gaps are, and cater and tailor an approach which is just specific for your child. That's the beauty of Orton Gillingham. That's why I'm not tired of it all these many years later. And so it really means we can work with splintered skill sets. But it's, you know, it's wonderful that he has that now, and we'll leverage that in the work. But it's just more, the Orton Gillingham's very diagnostic prescriptive. We are going to look at the child in front of us and tailor a program. And literally up and down that tutoring hall, the tutors and us in supervisory capacity are just constantly brainstorming and thinking. And the challenge is always, how can I go faster? You know, we're going to go as fast as we can, as slow as we need to. So yeah, that's good information for you to share with us.
I want to add on to what Kathleen said. The tutoring sessions, while you know, of course it's OG, they do cover, you know, things like executive functioning, focusing skills, keyboarding, other things that are sort of, you know, on the peripherals of literacy in OG, you know, especially the executive functioning, impulse control, and some other things. So, you know, those things are not uncommon to the community here. And I wanted to add that in for those parents that are curious, because, you know, dyslexia does have some comorbid, you know, items out there as well, which are, you know, handled.
Thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up. And especially embedded within the writing instruction is a fabulous opportunity when it's one-on-one to work with executive functioning, because there's so many parallels when you're organizing your writing and then organizing your little self to show up in that tutoring room with the, you know, the bag from study hall. So absolutely, all those factors are on the table. And then we always welcome input from parents whose insights can only help us, obviously.
So it also looks like there's some more questions about activities from David. Will drum lessons be available this summer? So our music program, our music teacher is, you know, very diverse with the instruments he uses. And so typically, yes, we do have drumming in there. We also have, is it John Marshall, Karl, is that right?
Yes, we're still in touch with John, and he's interested in coming back. So
yeah, he's a fellow Kildonan alumni as well, who's also a professional drummer.
Faculty alumni.
Oh, faculty, yeah. And so he last year we put together, he does African drumming, and so he brings a bunch of those, and we learned some, you know, as a camp, we learned some of those. So we're kind of looking how we want that model to look, you know, whether we want to make that an individual activity or if we want an experience for all the campers to have. So, but drumming is, yeah, it's definitely in there. And then there was another one about a kiln on campus. I believe there is, right?
Yes, there is a kiln. There's a great pottery studio at Marblewood. There's a beautiful, Marblewood has a great facility. So there's a really nice ceramic studio there. And also I did want to add to the weekend activities. My daughter also, who's 21 now, was a camper at Dunnabeck. And basically, she would always say the best things are what happen on the weekend. You don't want to miss the weekend. If you can, but there's always really fun activities that are happening on the weekend.
Just to backtrack a little bit, just, you know, a fun little fact. But we were talking about John Marshall, and it speaks to the sort of longevity and dedication of Dunnabeck folks. John Marshall was my tutor when I was a student at Kildonan, and that was a while ago. That was in the 80s.
And then, Karl, if you could speak to this question as well about how do boarding campers communicate with home?
So we'll have so we don't allow any screens at Dunnabeck other than what's in the academic settings. So we will ask that you either keep their phones with you when you send the kids to camp, or sometimes kids need to be traveling, we'll hold on to those until they need to travel and we'll give them back to them for that. But we will have a call day once every week. We will have kids phone home, and except for the first week. And this is all, there's a lot of research that supports the idea that, when kids are settling into a program, they need time to really become part of that program, and talking on the phone tends to interfere with that. What does not interfere with that is emailing, writing letters, receiving letters, and things like that. So the first week, so that they can acclimate into our program, we will not have them call home, but we will start calls the second week.
If I could just speak to that a little bit about, yes, sometimes the child wants to communicate home or call home the first week, but more importantly, the parent sitting at home has the hardest part dealing with missing their child. So we help facilitate that, again, in our parent portal, and we also use SmugMug. So we take pictures all the time, especially that first week. So you'll have a bird's eye view and you'll see your child smiling, having a great time, not missing you. Sad to say, but they do have their down times. Sometimes it comes in the evening, right, Gail, when the kids start to miss home. But they're not alone. They're with other campers who are going through the same thing, and they are supported and helped through it. After that first week, both the parent and the camper just acclimate. And so one more thing about day campers, they also have the opportunity to become a full-time camper, a boarding camper. Halfway through camp, after 3 weeks, we have Parents Weekend. And that's where all parents come, they pick up their kids for the weekend and bring them back that Sunday. But we also have a sleepover that night before on Thursday. So any day camper that wants to experience what it's like to be a boarding camper is welcome to join. There is no cost to that. It's done free, and then we'll buddy them up with in another camper's room, and they'll get to experience what it's like to be a boarding camper. So and sometimes, believe it or not, that process happens more towards the beginning of camp, where your day camper will say, I don't want to go home, I want to stay here. And so there's always that possibility that your camper can transition from a day camper to a boarding camper sooner rather than later.
I think I saw Mariska with a question.
No, I think that's Shayna.
Oh, okay. I don't see everyone on my screen now.
There you go.
Go ahead. I have a question about, so does writing go into the OT like 1 hour, or will there be like separate times for writing? Or will there be like more than, like, will there be math all in that 1 hour, or will it just be like all the things in just 1 hour?
So yeah, it's a great question. And Sherry can also speak to that. So the writing is definitely part of that hour. Some kids learn to read better through writing. So those are really kind of glued together, and they build together in strong ways over the summer. Math is typically not part of that hour. And then Sherry, maybe you want to add to that in terms of there's that study hall, which bolsters everything up as well. And there certainly can be writing in during that study hall. Sherry?
Well, and that's part of the beauty of Orton Gillingham is all of our students are unique and different. And some students come in as very, very strong readers, and what they need help with is their writing. So the tutor will focus on constructing a paragraph, or sentence structure, or compound and complex sentences, and developing writing skills. And then that study hall will often feature long writing assignments, because that's a good time where you can be in a quiet spot working on that skill, whereas that would be one of your assignments, whereas working on a writing assignment right in the middle of your tutoring session, you might be working on the actual skills that you need to use in that writing assignment in your study hall. But writing is absolutely right in there with reading. We learn to understand what we're reading by writing. And when you put things in writing, you realize how careful you have to be with your wording. And so the two really do work together.
And the one thing I would add there, Shana, is that sometimes I write with my students. We're going to build that together, the list, the paragraph. And, you know, I always think carefully about it, because of course I want the student to be able to work independently, but I know that they'll get there. From many years of experience, it can be really fun and powerful to write with your teacher. And then over time, the student takes over more of that process.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add, as far as the math, that we do offer math as well as a separate class, which is additional. It's not part of what's included with just the regular tuition, and so that's something that you can opt into. We have a returning math teacher who has worked a lot with students with LD and uses a multisensory approach to his math lessons as well too. And typically we offer half periods of math for those interested, but you could also do a full period, which is an hour. You know, I think it depends on, if you're trying to just sort of keep up with that slump that can happen and keep up with the math, or are you really trying to expand it, past just maintaining your level? So those are available. There may be only so many spots that we have, depending on how many slots we have open for that, but that is an option as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
Question is, how many of the campers are attending public schools? How many special ed independent schools? I don't have that information. Yvonne might have some insight on it.
Well, our campers are very diverse. So a lot of campers come from public schools. Some do come from private schools. But just so you know, like, we have campers that come from other states in the United States as well as other countries. Presently, we have 2 campers coming from England and 1 camper coming from Germany. So it's a different type of education. So, and as well as our camp counselors and some of our tutors do come from other countries as well. So this is one of Diana King's mainstays that she brought into the camp, was the culture and integrating, society together so that we're not segregated into, just schools or just different cultures of society. We're all together, we're all one, we're just one camp, and we operate that way.
And I think with all the diversity that, that the campers that come, that sort of dyslexic thread is, it really, it's what we can all relate to. And, it's, there's not like one kind of dyslexic student or person. It's just amazing to see how many outside of the box thinkers. And when you get a group like that together, it's a lot of fun.
I'll also tell you, when Eve went to camp the first year, she ran into some other folks from her school who were also dyslexic that we didn't know. So it's very interesting, the population of individuals who are dyslexic, or and you don't know it. You show up at camp, and then the next thing you know, you're like, talking to the same parents, same everything. Having 2 summers in a row, actually, where we didn't realize it, and they're all from different backgrounds, of course.
Okay, well, if there are any more questions? So I just like who's ever left here to just let you know that if you want to share this with your grandparent or friend or anyone, it will be available on YouTube, and I can send you a link. I hope you have enjoyed our virtual open house today. But before we go, I'd like to give thanks to our Dunnabeck staff for providing such keen insight into our camp program. So thank you all. And many thanks to our behind the scenes technical wizard, Paul Lieback, who brought you this presentation today. And Ethan up there in the corner, our other techie. I'd also like to thank Marvelwood School for allowing us to come onto their campus to film during these difficult times. Lastly, I'd like to thank you, all your camper families, for joining us. We look forward to celebrating our 65th year of camp with your camper. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you at camp.
And we'll put this up on dunnabeck.org too, so check us out there. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Bye.